One thing I want to do is just kind of get some definitions out. When I say pain management, I'm not talking about your medication or your physical therapy or any of that. That is between you, your doctor, your ailment, and most of that is out of our control. That is something we have to build into our lives and work with it. So your particular pain management physical side of it is going to be different from anyone else's. I'm speaking more about the coping skills, the life skills, the moving on, the, trying to rebuild and take control of our life regardless of whatever physical mess we're dealing with. It's more the emotional side of it, the coping mechanisms. So I'm not talking, pain management as in telling you what pill to take, because that's completely between you, your doctor, and your physical needs. And speaking of things within your control and things not in your control, that's kind of what I want to talk about right now. I do hope this turns into a community discussion and lots of involvement. Until that time, here at the beginning, it's just me talking. So I'm going to kind of talk about whatever I feel like, and we'll see if it stirs any discussion. With chronic pain, it's very easy for it to become all-encompassing. It is like, okay, it's going to be a major part of your life. You can't help that. It is part of who you are. I would say whether you want it or not, but who would want it? But I mean, honestly, it is part of your day. Simply is. But it doesn't have to be the defining characteristic of who you are. One of the first things I had to learn was to quit blaming the headache. I have a headache, seizures, and that limits what I can do during the day. It limits parts of my job. It affected all my relationships. Now, some of the physical limitations you cannot control. But as far as the emotional and relationship effects, you can try and stay on top of it. So it was very easy for me to fall into the blame. Oh, my disability does this. It makes me this. It causes this. It does this. And everything was blamed on that. Which, it's an excuse and it's lazy, I think. It's easy to do, and I certainly did it. But to me, it relieves me of any responsibility. None of that's my fault. It's, so it's kind of a lazy way out, and it's an understandable way out. But there was it's kind of a trite expression. It's the Serenity Prayer from the 1940s. I actually thought it was much older than that, but I just looked it up, and it's from 1940s. I'll misquote it, but grant me the serenity to deal with things I can't change, the courage to change what I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Something along those lines. It's been around forever. I've always ignored it. It's just one of those kind of trite expressions. And actually, I ended up getting it from a Sinead O'Connor song. She said it during a concert. And I was in just one of those moods, dealing with issues. And when she said it, it just kind of got me thinking. I was like, there's sense in that. My chronic pain, I cannot change. I can do some different techniques to try and limit it, but it's here. At the end of the day, I still have it. Now, I can spend all day moaning and crying and blaming, woe is me. Oh, If I didn't have this, I could do such and such. Yeah, it would be better if I could do this and that, but I can't because, and you just start, I anyway, start blaming it for everything. This, what was I, 28 or something when it started. So I'd been around for a while. My life was already not perfect. So I couldn't blame my physical ailment on anything before that. My life was already not perfect. So this was just another issue to deal with. And I got to where I was giving up. This is where you start, that's downward spiral. You give up. You just go, woe is me, I can't do this, and you just let it get out of control. And I did, real bad for a long time. But when I finally, one of the first lessons was just stop blaming your chronic pain for all the troubles in the world. It is part of who you are. It is something you're stuck with. It's something you have to learn to deal with. That's true. And it's another complication in life. There's a whole lot of bumps in this road, and this is just another one. It doesn't have to be the defining characteristic. So I got to where I could say, you know what? I wake up, I'm in pain. I go to sleep, I'm in pain. What happens in between, that's up to me. Now there are days I can do more than others. There are days the headache decides I'm not doing anything. Okay, that's fine. That's one of those things you can control, you can't control, different parts, you know. The days I can't control it, I deal with it as best I can. If I just have to stay in bed and do nothing, that's what I do that day. But that's one day. When I have days that I am on top of it and I can do more, yes, it will still affect what I can and can't do. Okay? There are things that it will still limit your choices. But it doesn't have to be the key. It got to where I kind of just defined myself. I was this little ball of misery because of this. And it's not a good way to live. So the first big lesson I had was to quit blaming my illness. Quit blaming everything in the world, everything that was wrong was because of that. So let go of that. That is one of the things that I have that I can't change. So don't worry about it. You deal with it as best you can. You have good days, you have bad days, but you have to move beyond it. You have to rise above it. So the first big lesson for me was just letting go. Quit blaming. So you know what? I've got this. It's what I have. It's to the point that it's no different if you're born a boy or a girl or whatever in between. You are who you are, and you deal with it. Well, this was something I wasn't born with, but I got it. It's not going anywhere. I think a long time I was blaming it because I wanted it to go away. And I think once I accepted that it just is, it's what I have. If it goes away, that'd be great, but it's not. It's just simply not. So do I wallow in it? Do I just roll up in my misery and shrivel up and die? Or do I do the best I can and live with it? And it was one of those things that when it finally hit, it was kind of, it's one of those almost a stupid lesson. You go, well, yeah, that just makes sense. Boy, it's a long time getting to it because I rolled up in my misery for a long time and blamed everything on it. And it was all, woe is me, poor Tim, oh no. Not very productive. Didn't help. Still hurt in the morning, still hurt at night, was miserable in between. Life's too short to be miserable. So, yes, I still hurt day in and day out. Every morning when I wake up, I feel tireder than when I went to bed. Doesn't seem like that should be possible because eventually it just turns into exhaustion. I don't know. It happens every day. Every morning when I wake up, that's like the worst part of my day. I feel worse in the morning. I'm tireder than when I went to bed. Everything hurts. I get up, I do some relaxations, I do my little routines. I start feeling better. Generally, I have a good day. And then when I go to bed, it still hurts. Sometimes in the middle of the day, it still bothers me. I mean, you can't get away from it. I'm not hiding from it. But why wallow in it? So I had to quit blaming the disability, quit blaming everything on the pain and the headache, and it's ruined everything. And once I did that first step of saying, you know what, I can't change that, but I can change this, and I can change this, and I can change this, and I started one step at a time, rebuilding and getting above it and moving on. And right now things are going pretty good, except I think I'm burning my pork. We'll have to look into that. So again, everyone please comment, subscribe, share. Let's get this going. Let's get a conversation going. Let's work together and make that next step a good one.